Look, Arizona State has had a fantastic transfer portal season so far, but nobody's talking about the biggest under the radar news. They just got their next Cam Scattaboo, and I'll tell you why on the other side of this.
Happy Friday, and welcome into the PHNX Sun Devils show. I'm Anthony Totri, joined, as always, by my passenger princess, Erik. Ruby, we got the deli man behind the Mac making all of the magic happen. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. First and foremost, happy Friday, everybody. We made it to the weekend. You guys made it to the weekend, and I'll tell you what, heading into a jam-packed sports weekend, college football playoff, NFL playoffs, NBA slate. Your Arizona State Sun Devils continue to load up on talent through the transfer portal. A number of additions offensively, defensively, and on special teams for the Sun Devils just in the last 24 hours since that last show for you guys that we're going to get into today. Really, really excited to talk about some of the additions specifically on that defensive side of the football. Rubus, we'll get to all those guys, but you're cold open, man. You sounded like you had something to say.
Yeah, no, I did, but here's the thing. It's not one of the running backs that they got in the portal.
Ooh, okay. I'm very interested to hear.
Look, they got an FCS guy, right? They got a dog in Gillis. Sure, absolutely. David Advit seems like he's going to be a very good running back. Maybe has a not a similar build, but kind of similar build to Cam Scattaboo. It's not them, though. It's one of the guys we're going to talk about today.
Okay. Well, look.
Owen Long out of Colorado State. Before we get into all the good stuff he's going to do on defense, in high school, this guy was a two-way player. And what position did he play on offense? Running back. That's all I'm saying.
Are you saying he's your Cam Scattaboo? For what reason?
That's all I'm saying.
Is he going to be like the next Cam Scattaboo at running back for ASU? We're moving him.
I'm just messing around. But I would be shocked if this guy doesn't get some sort of like trick play ran for him or something this year, because dude was a killer in high school at the running back.
Killer in college
in California. Well, yeah, at the running back position though, in California in high school, dude was a two-way menace. Also, I don't know if this matters. He had a 4.4 GPA, so it matters anyway.
I like my players to have their head on straight.
Yeah. I just want to let everybody know that, there might be 8 running backs in this running back room now.
Sharon says Sean Aguano's collecting running backs like Pokemon. I'm going to catch them all at this point in time. Will says might be getting another offensive lineman. Yes, we will talk about the offensive line addition and potentially another one on the way sometime, potentially over this weekend. So definitely be on the lookout for all of that. But let's just continue with Owen Long. As we started today's show, again, the Colorado State linebacker transferring to ASU. And for some casuals out there, getting a Colorado State linebacker may not seem like a lot. Owen Long led the country in total tackles. He led the FBS in total tackles with 151. 151 total tackles this past season. Throw in there 2 sacks, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery. 2 fumble recoveries and 5 PBUs. This guy was the defense at Colorado State. He is somebody that was in contention. Arizona State got him between the Sun Devils, and do you know the other school, Erik?
I don't.
Indiana. A team that plays today for a trip to the national championship. Those were the 2 schools fighting between Owen Long, and your Arizona State Sun Devils got him. You lose Jordan Crook, Keyshawn Elliott, two very instrumental pieces to the ASU defense, not just in 2025, but in 2024 as well. You bring in Owen Long, supplementing him with the fact that you got Martell Hughes, an up-and-comer at the position, a couple younger guys already on the roster, a couple young guys that you got in the 2026 class, 2025 class, and Cyrus Fiaseyu gets another year of eligibility. We'll see if he stays put at ASU or opts to throw his name in the portal. But, I mean, if he stays, you add Owen Long in this room, man, you feel pretty good about where this linebacker room is at going into spring ball.
You feel fantastic about it. I mean, we talked about at the beginning of the transfer portal season, like, oh, we need some defensive players. Now, I think there still are some positions on the defensive side of the football that need to be addressed. Linebacker, I don't feel like is one of them anymore. This guy is obviously nothing's promised. This guy's your starting linebacker. Like this guy is in possession of the potential to be the best player on your defense next year. I am not going to go out and say that he will be. Obviously, like, you look at a CJ Fight, that's somebody that I think is, as of right now, your clear-cut number one. But watching this guy's tape, holy crap, man. Look, Colorado State, not good. Colorado State won 2 games this year. And do you want to know the teams they beat? Northern Colorado and Fresno State.
They didn't play Colorado this year. That's why, though.
And that's fair. But when you watch Owen Long's tape, his best tape comes against some of the best teams. Like, they played Washington week 1 at Washington. They lost by 17 points. That dude, I think, had 55 tackles in that game alone. He's everywhere. His quickness of feet, his change of direction, for somebody who's that big to be able to track players as well. He can break up the line of scrimmage and stop the run. He could play out on the gaps on the outside. He could chase guys on screens. He's really smart. He is your do-it-all everything. He was everywhere. And I get it. Colorado State's not good. The rest of that defense wasn't good. He had to make up for a lot of that. He's going to be coming to an Arizona State team where he's not going to have the same amount of tackles that he had last year at Colorado State, but his impact will probably be just as great because the pieces around him are going to be really good. Especially in that linebacker room, there are some names that we like. So I am very thrilled for a lot of guys that have come here in the portal. I'm not going to put him up there with an Omarion and a Reed Harris, but he might be third for me as far as guys who I'm most excited to watch next year. I mean, he's a top 10 player at his position in the portal, and Indiana wanted him. That's a good sign.
It's a great sign.
This guy has, he's got a lot of potential to be somebody that we're talking about every single Saturday next season.
Yeah, Wes Beasy and Owen Long might be the steal of the portal. Like, again, this is somebody, like, 150 tackles in college football is a hard thing to do. It is a very, very hard accomplishment to hit at this level, and he hit it, and he hit it as a true sophomore. This is somebody still with at least 2 years of eligibility if he wants it, right? Like, and if he turns in 150 tackle season at ASU next year, my money says he's heading to the league, right?
Yeah.
Just based off of what you've done through 3 seasons. But somebody with eligibility, I know Will put it in the chat, this is somebody that wasn't just going to be a rotational piece if Indiana landed him. He was going to be starting for the Indiana Hoosiers, a team that, as it stands right now, is the number 1 team in the country, playing tonight for a trip to go to the national championship with one of, if not the best defense in the Big Ten, right? In most major statistical categories. So this isn't somebody that was just going to go play on a mid defense, be a rotational piece. He was going to be a starting caliber linebacker for one of the nation's top teams. And now he's coming to Arizona State, where you just filled a massive hole, right? You lost 2 guys, right? In Jordan Crook and somebody in Keyshawn Elliott. Now, I think this raises a lot of interesting questions, right? Because you go back to that 2024 season, going into the 2024 season, there wasn't necessarily, I don't think, a ton of expectation of like, okay, this is a room that's going to have a whole lot of steady rotation, right? And that's exactly what it did. It had a lot of steady rotation between Keyshawn Elliott, Cyrus Fiaseyu, and Jordan Crook. And then you had Martell Hughes doing what he did as a true freshman on special teams. Advanced to 2025, Cyrus goes down. It's a lot of Keyshawn Elliott, Jordan Crook, and Martell Hughes. Okay, so now what does this picture look like defensively at the linebacker position going into 2026? Well, I expect a lot of what we saw in 2024. A lot of rotation between Martell Hughes, Owen Long, Cyrus Fiaseu if he's here. Wouldn't be totally shocked again if this team added another linebacker. I'm just going to be frank. They've had a lot of linebackers visit. They've had Parrish visit from Florida State. They've had JoJo visit from Illinois. They're still potentially in the mix for at least one more linebacker. And if they don't, you got to feel good already with what's here at this position, right? And I don't want to get too off the path here, but a lot of these additions is because of two things. A, because you're able to save money, given the fact that you didn't have to pay your quarterback what the going rate of a quarterback is, of a high-level quarterback, right? Not a disrespect to Cutter Boley or Mikey Keene. That's just financially what it is, right? Those two don't earn the money going into this portal cycle that Sam Levitt is earning. Your running back room, there's money walking out the door heading to Texas with Raleek Brown. Jordan Tyson leaving, that money is leaving with him, right? So, like, financially, you're able to spread the wealth a little bit more, and we haven't seen them make a ton of additions in the trenches, right? Which is, I know, something that we'll talk about a little bit later on in the show, but this is a team that's slowly being able to do some fill some gaps here through the transfer portal. And then another big piece of it that I think, Erik, you and I talked about on Wednesday after the addition of Reed Harris is these players, when they come visit Arizona State, this isn't all about money, right? And I know it kind of gets lost in, the national voice of college football, where it does feel like it's so financially driven, where it's, hey, money this, money that. I can get $5 million here. Let me go get $7 million somewhere else. These guys want to play at Arizona State. They want to play for this staff. They want to be here. They want to be Sun Devils. And that says a whole hell of a lot about them. It says a whole hell of a lot about the culture that is in place. And I know we've barked over the last several years about how damn good this culture is, how good this culture must be for these guys in the locker room. Well, guess what? A whole lot of those guys that have established the culture going back to 2023, they're gone. They're not here anymore. So to have a new, almost batch of Sun Devils that are here ready to establish it and kind of carry the torch of those that came before them says a whole hell of a lot. I think you look at CJ Fight. I think you realistically look at a guy like Boogie Wilson on the defensive side of the ball that, to me, feel like that's kind of the leadership role that they're taking of, like, you know what? That last era is gone. We're going to take the things that they did really well along with establishing this new era, and we're going to bring it into 2026 and beyond. And again, just talking about the Owen Long edition, it is maybe one of the best that we've seen a Big 12 team make on the defensive side of the ball.
100%. And look, money is still a factor, right? But this is, I believe, the first year of full revenue sharing, which means that the amount of money that everybody has to play with is more. And this is the first year that post success, right? Even after the Big 12 championship, that ASU has really had to go portal shopping, right? Because last offseason, everybody was coming back, and that was a good thing. You don't turn your nose up at that, but you didn't have to go in the portal and get a linebacker because all your linebackers were coming back. You didn't have to go in the portal and get a wide receiver because Jordan Tyson was coming back. You didn't need to get a quarterback because Sam Levitt was coming back. The only guy you lost was Cam Scadaboo, and you were bringing in Raleek Brown, who was on the team that year but didn't play. And then you brought in Kanye Udo as one of your very few transfer portal splashes that you made last offseason. Now it's a necessity. And now it's something that you have to put your time and your energy and effort into. But for the first time since Arizona State has become a relevant football team, they also have the money to go along with it as well. Again, I don't think anybody's getting the same amount of money that a Sam or a Raleek or a Jordan Tyson was getting. I mean, maybe Omarion Miller, maybe Reed Harris, but you still have money to give out. It's still important to be able to somewhat compete. And to kind of tie it back to Owen Long, another kind of positive with the Indiana thing, you look at the starting ages of every player on Indiana's team, they're 24, 25, 24, 25, 23, 24, 25, 23. Owen Long's younger. It takes a lot for a guy like Cignetti to go out there and get somebody who is transferring from Colorado State, who would still be on the younger side of things as far as who's been starting for Indiana in their successful turnaround of their program the last couple of years. And to be that guy's going to be starting, which he would have started, right? That is a program shifting commitment at the position. Yeah. And again, it's a position that you've needed. And I think that's another theme here. And we'll talk about some other positions coming up in a second, but Arizona State has had multiple positions of need that they've needed to address in this portal season. And they've systematically gone and they've addressed all of it. They've got 2 quarterbacks. They've added their wide receivers, right? They've now got their linebackers. Okay. They've added into their secondary. Like they've added into their running back room. They've done even the offensive line. I know maybe they haven't done the trenches as much, and I know I'm listing things again. But they've still added a couple pieces to the key pieces, probably starting pieces to your offensive line. They know what they're doing, man. And if you haven't been convinced of that yet, and the last week hasn't convinced you, not even a week. How long has it been, dude? Like 6 days?
It's been 7 days since the portal opened, a full 7 days.
It's been a long 7 days.
Like, it's been a long 9 days.
Yeah.
9 days ago, we were in El Paso.
I'm still feeling that.
I'm feeling it too.
Like, it is very impressive how this is all played out. And not that we didn't expect for it to be good, but would you say that it's been better than you expected it to be in this portal season?
It's been flashier. I don't think better, because I think there was always going to be this staff, from what they've showed us, right? Because you can only go off of what they've shown you in the past. And the only real time that this staff went shopping, like you said, or portal hunting with big names, was when they first got here. And look at how all those guys turned out. The Xavier Alfords, the Ghost Rousers, the Jordan Tysons, the Sam Levitts, the Cam Scadaboos. And that's just naming a few. Just about every single one of those guys that they got in that transfer portal cycle was a hit, was a starter on a championship defense or a championship offense. The guys that they recruited that class, CJ Fight, future NFL defensive tackle, Keith Abney, future NFL corner, right? Like, they were able to get some very key pieces when they sat up in their chair and needed to, right? Now, of course, last year they didn't necessarily need to. It wasn't like they were building out a new roster. They were just supplementing the retention that they had. So, yeah, there was always like, okay, and they did that without going and getting the types of guys that they got this class, right? Those were guys, those were like, realistically calling them what they were backups. They were misfits. They were guys that nobody believed in at that period of time. Right? Cam Scadaboo, somebody that nobody believed in. 0-star guy. Xavier Alford, somebody who had bounced around college football but never really got a true opportunity for injury, for coaching, etc. Right? Sam Levitt, a backup at Michigan State. They went out and won a Power 4 conference with those guys. Now you fast forward to this year, and it was like, okay, yeah, they're going to need to go portal hunting for probably about 30 players, right? Realistically is what they're going to need to go get. Was it always like, man, they're going to go get the top portal guys at some of these positions? For me, it was going to be like maybe 1 or 2, but like there was never an expectation that they would have the finances to do that. So I think for me, it was maybe I appreciated the thought that maybe so many players would want to simply just come play for this staff, because that's what I think you've gotten. Again, it hasn't been like, we got a new bank at Arizona State, right? Shout out Graham Rossini. It's more so been like, yeah, we got maybe some extra funds here or there, but it's more so like this is a destination for these players now. And now it's not so much of the misfits and the guys that nobody wants. Not to say that those same players don't want to come here, because I think there's a story out there with Arizona State's newest running back and Marcus Gillis that is absolutely incredible that we'll talk about a little bit later on in the show. But now it's so much so where you do have guys that are like, hey, we're stars and we want to come play for Kenny Dillingham at Arizona State. There's a reason that I heard about Omarion Miller prior to the portal opening, right? He knew kind of where he wanted to go, kind of what was the lore about Arizona State. Sure enough, he's here. Reed Harris. Yeah, I want to go play for Hines Ward, right? Some of these other running backs, some of these defensive guys that have seen the success on this defense. So, no, I didn't expect it to be as flashy as it's been, but I think there's always been an expectation that they would go and get really good players that fit their system at Arizona State.
I expected to be impressed. I had very high expectations, and I want to emphasize that. I came into this transfer portal season expecting Arizona State to have one of the top classes in the Big 12. I am thoroughly, overly impressed so far through the transfer portal season, and I am sure that there is more on the way. That is how impressive this has been. I know that sometimes people look at us like, oh, all you guys say is positive stuff about ASU. You can listen to me throughout the entire season. Like, I was not saying only positive things about ASU, but I usually say positive things about Kenny because that's what I believe and that's what I think he's earned. I don't think you say a single negative thing about what ASU has done in the portal so far, simply because the areas of need that are still left up there, I have no reason to believe that they're not going to address it. That is simple as that. Like I said, every single position of need that has popped up, they have started to systematically track that down and not just do it just with like sheer numbers of commits, but like you mentioned, the flashy side of things. We're talking 2 top 5 wide receivers. We're talking a nearly top 5 linebacker, the leader in tackles in the country, right? You're talking about starting offensive linemen. You're talking about players that are coming from Texas, from LSU, right, to play on your defense. This is impressive, man. This is really impressive. And they're still doing it in a unique way where they're finding talent at an FCS level, where they're finding talent from a D2 school in football in Villanova. And you're still like, damn, that's a pretty good pickup. It's not like they've just got money and they've changed and they're just going for the flash and it's only 4 and 5 stars. Like, they're still finding guys that are diamonds in the rough, and then they're just finding diamonds that are diamonds as well and adding them in there. It's thoroughly as impressive as a transfer portal season as I could have expected. 1 week in, and with still another week left to go, I'm excited to see what the next 7 days could bring.
1,000%. We're 20 minutes in, and we've only talked about one of the new linebackers. We still got plenty of discussion here, some exciting additions, both on the offensive and defensive side of the ball for Kenny Dillingham and those Arizona State Sun Devils. We're going to talk all about him on the other side of our first break. Look, start saving money this year here in 2026. Our friends over at Circle K are trying to help you do just that every single day with their free membership program, Inner Circle. You guys can get enrolled here in like the next 30 seconds. Go to the App Store, download the app, enter your email and phone number, and boom, that's it. That's all it takes to sign up for, again, Circle K's free membership program, Inner Circle. So the big question is, well, where do the savings come into play? Well, for your first 5 fill-ups as a new member of Inner Circle, you guys can save 25 cents off per gallon, but the deals don't stop there. I'm well past my first 5 fill-ups, and I save sometimes 3, 5, maybe even 10 cents off every single gallon, every single time I fill up. And they've also got these great things called Inner Circle Fuel Days, where you guys can save sometimes 40, 50 cents off a gallon on gas. May sound small at the start, but the savings, they add up. Make sure you join Inner Circle for free by downloading that Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. Was
You know what that
thrown
is?
off. So
You know what
thrown
that is,
off.
Totri? You know what that is? That's the sound of greatness at Phoenix Raceway. That is the sound that you'll be hearing March 5th through the 8th, but honestly, a whole lot better, a whole lot more intense, as NASCAR and NTT IndyCar Series are racing during the same weekend for the first time ever, and they had to do it at Phoenix Raceway, and you can get a front row seat to it all. If you thought my vrooming was unimpressive, you will not be unimpressed when you go and get the best access in motorsports. Go inside the garage, walk the track, meet the drivers, catch the pre-race concert, and no sport brings the fans closer. You can upgrade to the Desert Diamond Casino infield experience at Phoenix Raceway. You can watch the 2025 Cup Series champion Kyle Larson return to the track where he won it all just a couple of months prior. Plus, camping options are available. See the cars turning around that first turn, smell that rubber burning, and of course, hear the was NASCAR and NTT IndyCar Series at Phoenix Raceway, March 5th through the 8th. Secure your seats now at the link in our description, and you'll be hearing a lot better on March 5th through the 8th.
Okay.
Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It might be the Arizona State football offseason, but that doesn't mean that it ain't hockey season over here. ASU hockey does play tonight, and also PHNX is taking over Mullet. Join Liam Merrill and the PHNX hockey crew as ASU hockey takes on St. Cloud State on Friday, February 6th. This package includes great things like a pregame meetup with food and drink included, a game ticket to Section 107 for Sun Devils versus Huskies, immaculate hangs with your favorite Valley hockey crew, and don't forget, diehards get 20% off. I know we have a ton of ASU diehards here in the chat, and I know all of y'all support all of Arizona State sports, so help support PHNX, support the PHNX hockey crew, and go watch some hockey and Mullet. Sun Devils versus St. Cloud State. Go check it out at gophnx.com/events.
To quote Chance the Rapper, Let's do that hockey. Hit
Let's
that
do
like
that.
button, hit the subscribe button, drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. Goes a long way for us. Continuing to talk about some of the new additions for Arizona State. Really excited, of course, about Owen Long, but I think Shane might be most excited about the guy we're going to talk about next, and that is the Kansas safety transfer, Lyrik Rawls, because Shane, it gives you now exactly what you wanted. You get your song and dance.
Yes, I do get my lyric duo. I thought you were going to talk about the long snapper because of my affinity with the special teamers playing with toys on the sidelines during practice. But I think I was so blinded by the idea of this nickname being amazing. For those of you who didn't see my tweet, Boogie Wilson and Lyrik Rawls are now to be known as the duo Song and Dance, Lyrik and Boogie. I was so blinded by how cool the nickname would be that I didn't realize how much of a dog this kid is.
Yeah.
He hits hard.
Yeah, he's a problem.
Mm.
He's a problem coming downhill. He is very reminiscent for Arizona State fans of a Miles Rouser in my eyes. He's Miles Rouser, but maybe a slightly better in coverage. This is somebody that's played a lot of college football at Kansas, was really a general for that Kansas defense over the last couple seasons. And we go back, you look back a couple years, and we were talking about how dominant that Kansas secondary was, right? And I know they had maybe a down year last year in this past season, but overall they've got dudes in that room, and I think you see Lyrik Rawls, what he's capable of doing, not just as a run defender, because, I mean, if you haven't seen it, I tweeted out a clip before. This guy is literally, it's like a torpedo, how hard this guy hits and how fast he comes downhill, but also in coverage. This was a major position of need given the fact that you lost Ghost Rouser, you lost Xavier Alford. Yes, you're getting Boogie back, which is huge, a massive part of this defense. That was a bright spot in 2025. This is somebody now, again, looks like you've got your bookend safeties on the back half of this Arizona State defense. And man, do you feel good about having Boogie on one side and Lyrik on the other. Two guys that, my goodness, if you're a receiver coming across the middle, you need to be aware of where these two cats are at.
Yeah, nearly a 4-star prospect out of high school. Obviously, it's been a little bit, but what I really, really enjoy is the veteran aspect of this. This is somebody that's played a lot of college football. You're bringing in, obviously, Ashton Stamps, who has also played a lot of college football, into that secondary. Adrian Boogie Wilson, I'm sorry, I used his government. Obviously, he played a lot of football this year. And then you've got some young guys still. Rodney Bimage looks like he's staying home, which is very nice after the conversations that we had earlier in the week. But with a young room and with a lot of guys leaving, it's nice to get some veteran presence in there. And again, not just played football, but played football at the Big 12 level as well. I think it's kind of underrated when you get guys to transfer within the conference, because when you're doing game prep, I know that a lot of teams change on a game-to-game basis, but this is a guy that has seen a lot of Big 12 teams, understands how the conference works, and there will be a lot of names that return to their teams next year that Lyrik Rawls will be familiar with. So you also get the Lyrik Rawls revenge game in London, which will
can't
be fun.
wait.
London Lyrik Rawls is going to go nuts. But this is another piece where I said it earlier. They're kind of systemically addressing all of these issues and problems that they had. I think not only did they have one at the position, but I also think not a problem, but I guess a need is a better way to put it. A need for some more veteran defensive presence there, with the amount of seniors and guys that are going out either in the draft or in the transfer portal who had played a lot of football. So it'll be really nice to get another veteran voice back there. But beyond that, the dude's a baller. He could play, and he's going to fit in real well with Brian Ward's defensive scheme as well.
1,000%. I want to correct myself here. He was only at Kansas in 2025. Prior to that, he spent his first 4 years in college, 2021, 2022, 2023, and 2024 at Oklahoma State. So still a lot of experience in the Big 12, but not necessarily on those Kansas defenses that I had alluded to earlier. Just this past year at Kansas was his best year. Started all 12 games at safety. Was second on the team in total tackles, was 73. 57 of those were solo. He had an INT, 1 TFL, and 7 PBUs. So he was all over the field for Kansas. He'll be all over the field for Arizona State. You add 2 vets now in an Owen Long and a Lyrik Rawls at key positions of need for Arizona State. You also saw the addition of, I'm going to call him local because NAU is just a couple hours away, but of Ramir Davis, another linebacker addition for ASU. Last year, I want to say he was a freshman for NAU. Yeah, he was. He's from California. Somebody that didn't play a ton on defense, played a lot more special teams, and I think that's probably what it's going to be when he gets to Arizona State, at least this first season. He's somebody that I would fully expect to really be engulfed and entrenched in the special teams side of things, but not going to throw it entirely past him to eventually, years from now, work his way into the ASU defense, because we saw somebody not too long ago that played a lot of special teams as a linebacker, transfer to ASU, and really saw his career jump. None other than the one-time Arkansas linebacker, Jordan Crook. Again, I know they're coming from different places, wildly different backgrounds, and I would expect Ramir Davis to be more of a special teams addition, but never want to throw it past a kid to really elevate those expectations, and I think he's certainly capable of doing so.
Yeah, 6'1", 205. I think it's interesting on ESPN, the stats. I don't know if they have it wrong here. They have him at 62 total tackles for this season with 4.5 sacks. And
Ramir
28
Davis?
solo. Yeah, which I don't think that's true, because you look at the main page and he has none of those numbers up there. But then if you go and you click on the stats for him, and I'm going to be honest with you, I am ignorant when it comes to NAU football. I don't know which one of those is correct.
Yeah, I don't know which one's correct either.
But if it is the latter, then maybe this is somebody that figures into that linebacker rotation. I trust Kenny to evaluate, and by Kenny, I guess Kenny kind of also means the whole staff, to evaluate, some of these lower level schools. And I mean, obviously, they played NAU this year, they scouted.
Wow, no. Yeah, we're wrong here. FCS freshman All-American outside linebacker at NAU. Led
There
the
you
team
go.
with 65 tackles, team leading 5.5 sacks, 7.5 TFLs.
Wasn't he a 3-star recruit too?
He's a dog. You just got a dog. Got another
There you
dog
go.
at linebacker.
So that's your linebacker. But dude, when you go to the ESPN homepage, they did him dirty.
Yeah, they did do him
really
dirty.
But you go, you
I'd be
click on the
very
stats.
upset. Be very,
Even that,
very upset.
You said 5.5 sacks?
That's what I see here. Team
that's
leading
weird. On ESPN, they have it at
5.5
4.5.
sacks, team leading 65 tackles, FCS freshman All-American.
Yeah, look, man. They did him dirty even
I'm
with
wrong.
the actual
ESPN
stats.
did you dirty, Ramir. You, sir, are going to be a dog here.
Yeah, and a lot of guys who were NAU fans and who played against NAU this year, remember how we were talking about how NAU sends a lot of exotic blitz packages, and how that might give Arizona State a little bit of trouble. And I wouldn't say gave them trouble, but it certainly was a good test for them. He was a big part of a lot of that, it appears, as well. We'll have to go back and watch maybe some ASU NAU film from earlier this year. But definitely
I will say,
seems like a weapon.
He did get hurdled by Raleek Brown. If you remember
that
that
was
first
him?
game and Raleek had one of those crazy hurdles, was over Ramir Davis. So throw that out there. But
Played
again,
at Mater Day as well.
Yeah, Mater Day High School. Somebody that has, again, you're getting one of the best players on another team's defense, right?
Yep.
And again, I fully apologize for saying that you were just special teams. This is based off of what you did at NAU. Yeah, you figure to come here and you want to play. Again, will you start up for grabs, right, with what you have at linebacker right now? I would expect Ramir to still be a special teams guy off rip, but certainly capable of playing valuable snaps on defense right away when you get to ASU. It's just a matter of what this competition is going to now look like at the linebacker position, because you do now have the bodies that you have at those key spots.
Yeah, he certainly is not an Owen Long. Two of the best players on their defenses, but Owen Long is more of a shoe-in to start. But I do think that he'll work in the rotation. Plus, we've seen this linebacker group get production from your non-starters for a couple of years in a row, whether it was Caleb McCullough or whether it was Martell Hughes, and we've seen them kind of make big plays. I'm excited, right? I'm excited for these guys that have played at non-major schools, right? Whether it's a David Abbott, whether it's a Gillis, whether it's a Long, whether it's of course his name is leaving me right now. The kid from NAU that we're talking about right now. But you got a lot of guys that you're taking gambles on, like I mentioned before, that I really do think could play out well and will eventually be rotation pieces, or if not outright dominant starters on this defense.
Yeah, 1,000%. I think, again, this
Ramir
is
Davis.
somebody
I'm so
that's,
sorry. ESPN did Ramir Davis dirty. I did Ramir Davis dirty.
yeah, I mean, I'm going to blame him, the worldwide leader. I'm going to go ahead and blame them
Yeah.
on that 1,000%. But yeah, another nice addition to this ASU defense, among several others. I know there are some people really clamoring in the chat for more defensive ends. There hasn't been a lot. There hasn't actually been any defensive end commitments outside of Kirtland Vakalahi transferring over from a JUCO to ASU. And that happened several weeks, maybe months ago at this point in time, kind of around the same time as a Jermaine Mitchell. So yeah, there's still a need on the defensive side of the ball at edge rusher, at defensive end. I know you have Albert Smith among some of the other younger players. You have a Joshua Shanklin who transferred in last offseason, who I believe was the number 1 JUCO edge rusher, who didn't play at all this season. So I'm interested to see what they do at defensive end here. I would imagine that they still want to add 1 or 2 at this point in time. I don't believe Noah Carter is still in play at this point in time, though, which I know kind of sucks for ASU fans, but at the end of the day, you can't not be happy with the guys that you've already gotten in this class. And they'll fill the holes, right? Just as they've done through the first 7 days of this portal cycle, just as they've done over the last several seasons. And they filled a big hole yesterday, late afternoon, on the offensive side of the ball. We're going to talk all about it and what it could mean for that entire position room on the other side of this second break. Look, a lot of our partners here at PHNX, they try and help you save money. Not many try and help you win money, but that's exactly what our friends over at the Arizona Lottery are trying to help you do with a number of different games. Well, try out their multiplier scratchers. They're the perfect way to add to your life. With multiplier scratchers from the Arizona Lottery, you guys could multiply the good things in life. We're talking vacation, relaxation, celebration, and of course, money. Because with over $270 million in prizes, that's right, you heard it correctly, over $270 million in prizes, you guys could win big enough to do more of the things you love. Multiplier tickets start at just $1 and have prizes up to $5 million. That's right, $1 could land you $5 million with access to over 3,500 retailers across the state. You can play whenever and wherever you'd like.
Well, hitting the lottery might help you do some big things like buying a car or maybe remodeling your home. But the best part is, if you want to remodel your home or kick off a home renovation project, the Window Depot, with their unbeatable prices, you don't have to hit the lottery to get it done. Serving Arizona since 2002, and while they started with windows, now they're way more than just a window store. I'm talking doors, skylights, cabinets, countertops, sinks, and even more than that, with tons of inventory in stock and ready for pickup. And if you need something custom, no problem. They've got designers there to help you out. They have the best price because they have the biggest inventory, and contractors love the Window Depot for their job site ready quantities, unbeatable prices, expert service, and no membership required. With 7 locations across Arizona and windows proudly manufactured right here in state. Visit thewindowdepot.com to get started on your next project today, or stop by one of their 7 Arizona locations and see for yourself why they're way more than just a window store at the Window Depot.
Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. Let us know in the chat. I'm curious, as ASU fans in here, what has been your favorite addition this transfer portal cycle for the Sun Devils? Did it come on the offensive side of the ball, the defensive side of the ball, or heck, maybe even you're really excited about a special teamer? Of course, the Sun Devils adding another member to the special teams yesterday in Grayson Curtis, a long snapper from New Mexico. So it looks like you've got your long snapper woes, or just another addition to the special team situation, hopefully resolved with the addition of a Grayson Curtis. I apologize in advance to Grayson. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about the addition of a long snapper, but congratulations on your commitment to Arizona State.
Some really good toys here.
Very good toys. Now, what I am going to talk about is somebody else who snaps the ball and did a hell of a job at Georgia Tech. That is, of course, one of the newest additions to the Arizona State offensive line. That is Tana Alo-Tupuola, somebody that played at Georgia Tech, somebody that is familiar with Power 4 football, and somebody that can transfer now to Arizona State at a key position that the Sun Devils didn't really have somebody that was a sure thing at center. You have now what I would anticipate to probably be your starting center for the 2026 season.
Yeah, I think he's definitely favored to get there. I think Wade Helton certainly still has a chance. Now, let's be honest, this is good. I mean, you needed to bring in somebody at the position. I had him on my wish list, and I'm excited, but I've done a little bit more research on him, and I will say that there are some mixed reviews when it comes to how he actually did play over at Georgia Tech. Sometimes people were saying he missed some blocks, he had some inconsistent snapping as well. Now, this is, not the oldest player in the world either, so this could be somebody they're looking at to develop along the offensive line. But he's a big body. He's a big dude. He's a solid piece. This seems like just a position that you should get a little bit more reassurance on, especially if you're looking at that offensive line. So I'm excited. I think this is a good addition. I don't know if I'm as excited as I was before I did a little bit more research into what he brought. And I got to look a little bit more into this, but some people were saying that he got benched at certain parts in the games because his snapping was a little bit inconsistent. But at the end of the day, like, this is a very big body that has played, like you mentioned, Power 4 football. Georgia Tech, a good team this year, like not the best team in the country, but a good team nonetheless. And if he can maybe clean up some of the snapping issues, some of the blocking issues as well, as he continues to get older, because he's still a very young player, just like Wade Helton was also a very young player, I could certainly see him being the starting center for this team next season.
They on their depth chart for I think almost every game this year they had an or at the center position. So I don't know how much it was to do with just him or just the battle they had constantly all year, but I think it was inconsistent all year. The thing you look at here though is the size, and you say, okay.
Yeah, 300 plus pounds at the center position. Somebody that, again, is going to bring more game experience than what you have with Alo-Tupuola and Wade Helton at the center spot. It's not a knock on them. It's just the fact, right? Like, he's played a lot more. He, even going back to 2024 in his freshman season, played in 13 games, primarily on special teams, but still played, right? So this guy is the moment's not too big. I am interested to see where they have him as a day one slot. I would imagine day one spring ball, he's your starting center, which for me allows you to probably have a little bit more competition at the guard spots with Wade Helton, with Mackay, with Makua. So I think that's going to be big. It eliminates some of the competition maybe that you would have at center and allows these guys to focus on the other parts of the interior of the offensive line. And again, I believe you have a left tackle in Jermaine Mitchell starting, right? And I think on the right side, you have Champ Westbrooks, right? So I think that's probably where you're at. You still have Jalen Clem to probably fit in there somewhere. Maybe he kicks into guard. We'll see. But in terms of the offensive line, for those wanting more, I would anticipate maybe one more addition, one more offensive line addition at this point in time, which, again, people are going to be upset about it, that it's not, hey, an Alabama offensive lineman, but it's something that we've talked about really since the portal season opened, that they've got a lot of younger guys that are going to develop, that they want to develop. And they've got the size. It's just a matter of they haven't played yet, right? So I think in terms of the offensive line, you're looking pretty much at what it's going to be with maybe one more addition at this point in time. I know early in the cycle, they had an offensive lineman from Washington on a visit. His name was Paki Fanau. I'm probably mispronouncing that, but his first name is Paki. I feel confident that I got that one correctly. I don't anticipate... It's not Pakai. I don't anticipate him transferring to Arizona State. I would honestly say he's probably BYU bound at this point in time, so you probably lose out on him. But again, I would anticipate at least one more addition along the offensive line before the end of transfer portal season. Nonetheless, throwing in another big body to this offensive line certainly can't hurt.
Well, and with the offensive line, like you mentioned a lot of young guys. There are a lot of young guys who did play and did kind of get thrown into the fire against good teams. I know that was a problem that we had during the season, that there was not a lot of consistency with the offensive line because of injuries and guys moving around and playing different positions. But that's certainly something you can learn from. Plus, if there's anything we learned this season, is that it's good to have two guys that could play center, right? So Wade Helton getting some snaps at center during this past season, even if he's not going to primarily start there, you never know what's going to happen injury-wise. You can never have too much depth. And again, you never know if this is your full-on starting center. Now, I think what is encouraging when it comes to Tana is that he started 4 games this year, and it was 4 out of the last 5 games, right? So he played against Colorado week 1, but he didn't start, right? He played week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6 is when he got his first start, and that was against Syracuse in a 41-16 win. Then he started the next 3 games after that against North Carolina State, Boston College, and Pittsburgh. He then played against Georgia. He did not start against Georgia. So this is somebody who did not start the season as the starting center, but did play in those games. And then as the season went on, he started his games, which I do think is a good sign for somebody, instead of starting the season as the starter and then at the end of the season getting moved to coming off of the bench. So I think that's a nice sign for his development. I feel pretty good about some of the individual performances that we saw from the young offensive linemen, especially like you look back to Texas Tech and how they were able to hold their own there. Plus, as it is with all these positions, but you got to give these individual coaches love. Like Saga's a great offensive line coach, man.
Yeah.
A great offensive line coach. I think they're going to figure it out. And I've been saying the Jermaine Mitchell thing for like a week now at this point. I'm just repeating myself. If he committed yesterday versus a month ago, we'd be having a different conversation, or at least the online discourse around it would be different. Jermaine Mitchell and Kirtland Vakalahi are not even included when you look at the transfer portal classes right now, which ASU has a top 10 class in the country. So these guys are just like not being considered in that, when I think they should be, even though they committed about a month ago. So I feel good about the offensive line with this addition. If they add one more Totri, I feel happy. I would say as far as trenches go, it's the other side of the trenches with the defensive ends that I would be putting more of my money and my resources into. I would much rather them add more defensive ends if it means that they don't have to add another offensive lineman, versus adding another offensive lineman, but then leaving that defensive end position a little bit more barren.
Yeah, it does feel like the defensive line specifically is the spot now where fans are kind of clamoring on the internet of like, okay, this is all we need, right? It's all we need left. We got the receivers, we got our running backs, got some DBs. Probably add one more corner, I would anticipate. But yeah, there's a lot of folks that are still like, okay, we need edge rushers, we need defensive ends, maybe even some interior defensive linemen just based off of production that we've seen in 2025. They did get another addition to the interior of the defensive line as of yesterday. That is in Butler Community College defensive tackle Hiram Viano. See, I'm getting better. I'm getting better at these pronunciations. Go. Okay. Somebody, again, that called Arizona State his dream school. So you add him to the mix. I don't know realistically what that looks like, at least as it stands right now. Need to see him on the field in terms of spring ball as to what he actually looks like in terms of like a contributor on this defense early on in his tenure at ASU. You still added another body to that room, which I think is beneficial. As it stands right now, CJ Fight is the D tackle that I think you've got the most buy-in to be a day one starter. I don't know where else you go on the interior and exterior of the offensive or defensive line. Feels like there's still a lot of competition to be had. And there is still a lot of room to look in the transfer portal potentially. Yes, Will, I do got to get a Rosetta Stone in terms of, yeah, I'm not good with pronunciations, man. I'm just not. I never have been. I never will be, but I'm trying. I'm trying in 2026.
You're lucky that they're adding that feature on the ASU roster website where they pronounce their names for you. So
hey,
no excuses.
I made a commitment to get Max Ahanachore's name right, and I haven't looked back.
Now.
Here we are.
The Hanachore growth from you is very.
I used to just call him Max.
Max.
Yeah. Here we are. But yeah, the defensive line, the edge rushers, you definitely you need more of them. No, David, I can't. I'm not going to try. But you need more at this point in time, specifically off the edge. Like I said earlier,
You've said this one before. Come on.
yeah, but I had a pronunciation guide in front of me.
Rob Lahuaho.
There you go. Perfect. Good
Oh,
job.
okay.
Welcome, Rob.
Sure.
Robbie L. In terms of Noah Carter, Florida State, Georgia Tech, and ASU, if you want to throw the Sun Devils in there, feel like that's the competition to land Noah Carter services. Like I said earlier, I'd be surprised at this point in time if he chose ASU. Not to say it's impossible, but it would be a surprise for me at this point in time if they were able to land him, based off the fact that he's had other visits, which is always something that's a little tough once these guys get on other visits. It's a little bit more of a tall task to add them to the roster and land those commitments. But Rubis, kind of same conversation we've had with the offensive line, right? Like you added a couple pieces, but like more so it's going to be up to the development. You're hoping some of the guys that you have on the roster take that next big step. I feel like that's maybe a point of conversation as it relates to the defensive line, a Joshua Shanklin, a Michael Gardner, who's an Oregon transfer who we didn't see last season because of injury, Ramar Williams, Albert Smith, maybe some of these younger guys stepping up. It feels at this point in time, even if they add one edge rusher, that's maybe kind of where their chips are placed.
Yeah, I got my eyes on Joshua Shanklin, somebody who didn't play last season, number one defensive end in JUCO, right? When he got out of there, and that's again, you're looking at Jermaine Mitchell and then Joshua Shanklin, right? It's two top end JUCO guys. And again, if Joshua Shanklin committed this year, right? If it was like, oh, you got the number one at his position on the defensive line, this year, again, the conversation's different, but you've just had him developing it in your system for a year and people aren't really talking about him. This coaching staff has a plan. I mean, they have a plan at every position. I am confident there are going to be some young players that really step up. When we looked at the secondary, right, and a couple of the young names that transferred out, we were expecting them to step up and to be big-time contributors, right? We should feel that way about every position room. It's why we feel confident about the running back room. It's why a lot of these other wide receivers, like, look, going into the season, who thought like Derek Eusebio would be your wide receiver too? Well, guess what? He pretty much was, right? And he was really damn good as well. So there's always going to be, I feel like with this school specifically, a couple of guys that surprise people from internal development. And I do think in the trenches is kind of the hardest to project with that because you're not seeing super flashy plays a lot of the times when they do get in the games or when they are in practice. But I do think that they have bodies there and somebody is going to rise to the top.
Yeah, 1,000%. And we kicked off the show and you had your cold open of you may have your next Cam Scatterbo, right? And we obviously went one direction. I want to go the other direction of the Cam Scatterbo conversation. And I don't think they have their next Cam Scatterbo. I think what you had in Cam Scatterbo is a unicorn. I think you got a really good running back in Marquise Gillis, which I know we've talked about in the past, but a story came out, I want to say from Sun Devil source just the other day, in regards to Marquise Gillis. And I think, what he has to say, what he said about Arizona State is going to get a lot of people excited. Just about who he is and to see him on the field. Again, I said when he committed that this is somebody that I think will be RB1, will certainly be in the conversation for RB1. You don't transfer to ASU with 1 year of eligibility without that in the back of your mind, at the very least as a player. What he's put on tape looks like a potential RB1. And then you read the things that were, he said about the program and the university, somebody that didn't ask for money, right, which is a rarity in college football, didn't ask for a penny from Arizona State at this point in time, or at least when he was sniffing around here. Didn't ask for anything. He said, quote, "I'll sleep at an airport just to get a chance to meet with you."
Dog. D-A-W-G. Dog. This to me, immediately I went, okay, yeah, he is RB1. I mean, that's a type of hunger. That's a type of passion that you don't see a lot in college football nowadays. Not that guys don't want it, not that guys don't work hard, but that type of energy is different.
Yeah.
And yeah, Arizona State obviously is a place for FCS running backs and for players to look at that path. But also, like, you look at just Arizona State as running back you look at Sean Aguano, you look at 1,000-yard rusher after 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 1,000-yard rusher. Why wouldn't you want to do that? But to hear that vocalized and to hear that, I'm sure the coaching staff who's so used to, having to play this recruitment game, having to play the money game, having to play the playing time game, all of that, to hear that had to be the most instant yes of all time on both sides. Like, get your ass over here and let's work because you're going to fit in just fine.
Let me read you a quote from a story with Marquise Gillis about his decision to transfer to ASU from Devil's Digest. He said, quote, "I told them straight up, I have no time to waste. I have a child who's 5 years old. I have my dreams and I have to chase them. I have a year to change my life. I know this is a pretty nice area and people like to have fun around here, but I'm not here for all the fun and games. I have a goal and that's what I'm sticking to." Sounds like a running back one to me.
A 5-year-old kid? How old is he?
Still in college.
Well, I mean, that doesn't
last year of eligibility, he's a senior. He'll be a senior.
Still being in college doesn't matter anymore. So
no, but this is again like this is what college football is kind of about, right? And I think we've kind of gotten away from that as a sport in terms of like it's all about bread, right? It's all about how much money I can make.
Yeah.
And again, the players should make money. I think they should make money. But like this is somebody who has a 5-year-old, right? Like this is like you said, this is his last opportunity to make a name at this level to go to the league. He's not about anything other than ball. And that's like the type of player that you want at ASU, that Kenny wants at ASU, that it's all about, I'm obsessed with the game. Now, Marquise may be obsessed with the game for a different reason, right? Nonetheless, somebody that is talented enough to back up the words that he's saying here.
Yeah, this is exciting, and it's exciting for him, right? Like this is a big opportunity. We all think this team's going to be really good this upcoming year. We thought they were going to be good this last year. They ended up being, not as good as maybe we expected them to be for a variety of different circumstances. But with the way that this transfer portal season has gone, this offense is set up to be really great. Plus, guess what? He's not number one on the scouting report. I mean, maybe he plays his way into it, but guess what? Omarion Miller and Reed Harris are going to be number one on the scouting report, right? Those are going to be the guys that the defense is focused on. There's a chance that this kid could eat. I say kid, but he has a kid. On the Delaware State website, it says what he's going to be pursuing as a career if it's not in football. Do you want to know what that is? Podiatrist. Let's be a foot doctor. I like a running back that takes care of his feet. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, I'm excited, man. I was already excited for him. He had a lot of skills that I felt like could translate to the next level. Obviously there were maybe some things as far as the speed goes.
Podiatrist?
I thought, doesn't that mean pediatrician, like a kid doctor?
No, podiatrist.
No, isn't that a pediatrician?
Is a doctor of feet, ankle, and related structures of the leg.
Yes, Shane.
Pediatrician is children.
Maybe you spelled it wrong. Deli man.
I copied and pasted it from his profile into Google. So, but anyways, I'm really excited for this, and I'm excited for him, and I think this team, man, it's shaping up to be a good one.
Let me tell you, and this is the perfect way to round out the show. I'm gonna just go ahead and close my laptop here.
Okay. Me too. Oh wait, I can't.
We got a bum in the chat.
Uh-oh.
We got Sergio Sanchez in the chat, who's a U of A fan, evidently. Says, "Hey guys, first off, misspells hate. Get some glasses. Hate to break it to you. You guys are gonna be dog blank this year. Ass.
Oh, shit.
For the most part. All right, you're gonna be ass this year. Sergio, I get it, man. and this goes out to all of the U of A fans that we have in the chat that don't comment, or the ones that listen after the fact or whatever, that just are obsessed with us at this point in time. Okay. I get it. Your program doesn't do the things in the offseason that would excite you about your college football team. Hell, you as a fan base don't even show up on Saturdays to support your team, whether they win or lose. It's just your program, right? So I get it. You're obsessed with us. I mean, who wouldn't be at this point in time, right? Who wouldn't want to have Kenny Dillingham, Brian Carrington, Hines Ward, Brian Ward, this amazing staff? Who wouldn't want to live in a destination right here in the Valley with Phoenix, Tempe, Scottsdale, all of these amazing places? I get it. Tucson, it is what it is. You got to be obsessed with ASU. And I'll tell you what, I would bet you right now Arizona State has more wins than U of A does in 2026. You name your price, Sergio, because you sound like you're pretty confident. And I've made these bets before. Just ask everybody in Colorado, all those Buffs fans that were in this chat a couple years ago, who are no longer here, probably no longer have YouTube accounts, that were willing to bet me $1,000 even that Colorado was going to have more wins than Arizona State. Sun Devils went on to win the Big 12 championship. I haven't heard from that Colorado fan since. So Sergio Sanchez, you're in the chat right now. I will gladly take your money, sir. Gladly. In a bet that Arizona State has more wins than U of A. Because here we are, January 9th, 2026. One team is doing everything that they need to be doing. Adding a bunch of players at key positions. Locking down major talent from the transfer portal just a week in. The other team is sitting on its ass so bad that we got the fan base wanting to talk about Arizona State. That's how down bad y'all are. That you're here to talk about us. This is how you're spending your Friday afternoon. You're talking about your rival because your team is so ass that they're not doing anything. We're in college football free agency. And your team ain't giving you nothing to be happy about. It's a damn shame. I'm gladly, my DMs are open, Sergio. Go find them. Once you find those glasses and you learn how to spell, you go type my name in on Google. You go to that Twitter page. I'll gladly take your money. In the meantime, though, that's going to do it for today's episode of the PHNX Sun Devils Show. Hit that like button and the subscribe button on your way out. If you want to continue to follow all the news and notes as it relates to Arizona State, give the show a follow at PHNX_Sun Devils. You can follow me at Anthony_Totri. That one's for you, Sergio. I'll follow you back. That way you can actually slide in my DMs. Erik, you can follow Senor Rubis at Erik Ruby. That's Erik with a K. You can follow the Daily Man at Shane Dief.
Just really trying to discern the difference between these two occupations as always.
We will see you guys on Monday. In the meantime, go Devils and peace.
We all silly like the mayor.